Welcome to Lead Like a Girl, where we are empowering everyday women through our stories. I'm your host, Jessica Smith, and I began this journey by sharing my life story. Now, I've joined forces with my longtime friends, Jamie and Coralyn, to keep this party going. We met many years ago as young sales girls in our 20s, driven and quickly rising to the top of our industry. As the years went on, life happened, and we all found ourselves in new companies and completely different industries, still striving for success in it all. Career, family, faith, fun. Now, it wasn't easy, but we never stopped moving. Get ready for our real conversations, inspiring stories, and our big life lessons as we share it all. The good, the bad, and the funny. Welcome to Lead Like a Girl.
All right, welcome to Lead Like a Girl. This is Coralyn. I'm here with my two friends again, Jamie and Jessica, and you'll hear very shortly that we have got another guest. I'm very excited. We have my sweet friend, Amanda Kist here. I'm not going to share too much about her bio. I'm going to share that for a minute, but I'll let you know in on a little thing. She is a salon owner. She's been a woman in business for a long, long time, and she's got a story to share with us today. So we're going to get to that in a minute, but I want to first ask you, how are you doing, ladies? How's it going?
Well, I just shared with the group that I just burnt the shit out of my pork chop. So that's how it's going for me. But I think it's going to get better from here.
My suggestion was, Jamie, what do you think about this? My suggestion was she should just rename it Blackened Pork Chops and throw some spice on it. Just tell them they did it on purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? Make a sauce, throw that on top. That's like
And Jamie, I'm sure you would be able to do that just like really quick. I totally forgot I was cooking, you guys, and I'm like, what's that smell?
No, that happens all the time. Seriously, all the time. Yeah.
What is that smell? Something's burning, and it's my damn pork chop.
Amanda, are you a chef? Do you like to cook?
I like to cook. My kids tell me that we are an ingredient household, so I do like to cook. So nothing in a box in my house.
That's good. You and Jamie will be the next besties. Yeah. We claim her first. You can claim second round besties. Okay, guys. So we're going to hop in here. I have got an amazing first minute fast question for our new listeners. We just hop in. It's a little bit of an icebreaker, but it's just get to know you. In honor of my friend Amanda, who is a salon owner, again, woman in business, I want you guys to tell me the worst haircut you've ever had in your life.
The one I gave myself.
Did you cut your own bangs?
I was sad once and I had bangs then. No.
Isn't that just kind of what Amanda, how many times have you had to fix somebody's homemade bangs?
Oh my God, weekly.
I bet.
They're like, so I did that. Yeah, I know. I can see it. I can see it in the parking lot when you're coming in. I know what you've done.
That's great.
Well, I will go. My worst haircut was, it wasn't even a haircut. I was probably 13, I think, maybe 12. I don't know. I feel like I was old enough to know better, but I still asked my mom to bring me to the salon and have the lady perm my bangs. So I had stick straight hair and my bangs were permed, and I have a couple pictures of this, and I didn't even do anything with my permed bangs. I just sat there like I had a little bit of a jerry curl like on my forehead and then straight hair. It was absolute. It was atrocious. I'm so embarrassed about that.
Well, you know the mullets that these people are wearing today? I've noticed that somehow came back, but I wanted one and I got one. And because my hair is you can't tell, but it's very curly. And so what I learned is that curly mullets are different than straight mullets. And so, yeah, I got a bad one and it was just, so I cried. And so I just had to cut it all off. So that was like my first short haircut many, many years ago. So yeah, bad mullet, curly hair.
I'm like, do I say the one that I have received or the one that I have given? Which,
you should do both. You should give us one each.
I want to hear the one you've given, to be honest.
Right.
Well, the worst one that I've received is my mom growing up. She wanted to save a buck, and her sister's bestie was the stylist. And so she taught my mom how to wrap a perm. And I had this cute little bob. And similar to Coralyn's story, I had a tuft of permed bangs, and my bob went from like chin length to like mid-ear. Yeah. And as soon as my mom did that, the phone rang. Back then the phones were attached to the wall, and I ran down in the basement and tried to shampoo it out in the utility sink, and my mom was pissed. So fast track beauty school, where I had to do perms, and my mom's in my chair, and I'm like, oh, payback is coming. I didn't do that. I couldn't do that to her. But the worst one that I've given, it was literally, I think, my 6th day cutting hair ever. And this woman, she was just not very pleasant to work with. And I was nervous because I'm literally 6th day on the job. And she had this nice, sleek bob, and because Posh Spice was all the rage back then. And I went to what I thought was using my texturizers to take out weight in front, those that look like alligator shears. But instead I grabbed my straight blades and I chopped like 4 inches off right in front of her face. And was
she looking at the mirror when you did this, or was her back to the mirror?
She turned beet red, like she was pissed. And I took off the cape and I looked at her and I said, no charge. And I ran into the break room, and I hid in the corner and I cried. And I was like, management's got to take over from here. It was the worst. It was the worst.
How old were you when that happened?
Oh, I was 21.
Yeah.
21.
Fantastic.
So I always check my blades. Like, what do I have in my hand?
Right. That's awesome. I feel like these parts of our life just grow up and give us a whole ton of character, right? we can laugh about them now, but they were pretty atrocious.
My heart rate's elevated.
Right? You're like reliving, have a little PTSD of the situation. Well, guys, I am really excited for today to have Amanda here to share with us. So I want to give you a little bit of a bio so you understand a little bit about who she is and why she's just going to bring a great conversation for us today. So I've known Amanda for a couple years, but her tenure and her bio is actually pretty impressive. She has worked in the salon and the hair industry for over 25 years. She's owned her own salon for 10 years. She also has a degree in business management and marketing. And then she's also a technical educator for Euphoria, and she's done that for 14 years. She is a wife. She's been married to her husband for many, many years. She's got 2 grown kids. She lives in a cute little area in Minneapolis, and her salon is pretty close to Minneapolis. But I feel like one of the things, and maybe this is a part of your story, is just the location that she picked for her salon is this cute, bustling little neighborhood that has been kind of an up and coming area in Minneapolis, or a suburb of Minneapolis, for a little while. But you walk into her salon, it is so incredibly cute. It's modern. It smells fantastic. It's always clean. There's always new things in there. I just absolutely love going in here.
All the things that warm my heart.
Right? It's just, you feel like you want to get pampered in this place. Like, just bring it all out. And so,
I love that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's great. And the name of it is fantastic, which I'll let you share a little bit. But so I want to hear from you, Amanda. Why don't you just kick us off and just tell us a little about you, how you got started. And
I do have a long story. I know when Coralyn was like 30 minutes, I'm like, I'm going to need more than that. But my huge backstory that a lot of people are not aware of is that I grew up on a hog farm in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. And we were the largest family-owned farm in the county for many, many, many years. And we moved to Minnesota when I was 16 because we were affiliated with golf courses. So there's this huge roundabout story, which could come at a different time. But I think the foundation of where I'm at today, I definitely have to accredit to farm life and the grit. And I'm not talking hobby farm. I am talking thousands and thousands of hogs from breeding all the way to market. And then we also had 480 80 acres of farmland as well. So,
oh my God, I did not even know
yeah,
that. So you were talking to hog farms, like you drive past this land and it smells like a diaper mostly.
We call that money. It smells like money.
Smell of money.
It's like, that's a dad joke for sure. I live in Iowa.
It totally is.
My dad's just
totally
like, smells like money. As soon as you smell
money.
manure. Yeah.
But it really was a small town. The school that I went to, there was 19 people in my grade, and I was related to all but 3. And the population of the town was 600 people.
Wow.
And yeah.
Is that including the pigs or no?
No. But when we moved to Minnesota, like I said, I was 16, and I've always wanted to be a hairdresser. I always wanted to. I mentioned before in my horrific hair story that my mom's sister, her bestie, owned the cute little 2-chair salon that was also in the same building as the post office. And I would beg if I could just sit there, and I would tell Judy, I won't touch anything, I won't say anything, but I just want to sit in here. Part of me felt like it was because it was so removed from hog work that's I wanted to be anywhere but, slopping hogs.
Can we name this episode Hog Work, please?
Hog work.
I was going to ask, is it just expected that you work on the farm when you grow up on the farm?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so no choice. Okay.
No choice. I couldn't do sports because there was chores. I would get up and do chores before school. It was mandatory. So my day growing up, every day started at 4:30.
Wow.
Regardless.
You talk about building character right there.
Right.
Not to get the cart before the horse.
I was just like, wow.
The cart before the pig.
Yeah.
When you first start talking, it sounds like, oh my God, yeah, that's great. Wow. Rich people's problems. And then you start talking about getting up at 4:30 in the morning as a kid, on a farm with hogs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not so much.
I have a brother 3 years older and a sister 3 years younger. We're all entrepreneurs. We all get shit done, for lack of a better term. And
no pun intended.
Literally. But I have to dedicate it to, I was raised by my father. My mother worked out of the home. She grew up on her family farm about 10 miles from where I grew up. I grew up on the farm that my dad grew up on. And so seeing how my dad operated and taught me was pay attention, always know your why, a lot of grit. And so it was, I was great. I was so grateful for it. There's no way in hell I would ever go back because it was really, really hard, but I didn't know any different. So I remember, looking into YM magazine and Teen Vogue magazine and thumbing through all of that. I'm like, oh my gosh, hair and beauty is like a whole different world away from where I was living, that is what I wanted. And when my parents said, hey, we are moving to Minneapolis, I was like, oh my God, the Aveda Institute is there. This is a sign from God that I'm going to do this. And so I told my mom, I'm like, I could pack up. I could be ready in 4 days. When is this train leaving? Like, all my family and friends lived in Nebraska, but I was like, I don't care. I am taking the first train. I'll walk if I have to. Like, I am.
And
here.
This is when you were 16.
Yeah. I mean,
ready to just beat feet,
yes.
Ish, like whatever, give or take.
Right.
Well, the first time I ran away from home, I was 6, and I was bound to like somehow make it to the beauty salon to like hang out with Judy.
That's funny.
They didn't have to look too far for you.
Right. No, they did, but.
So you went to the Aveda salon or Aveda school?
I went to the Aveda Institute.
That's where the good smells just got born.
Yeah.
Is right there. That plate, you can smell Aveda from blocks away.
Yeah. Yes. So I completed high school in Prior Lake, and I took a year off to quote unquote party and get it out of my system. And then
good job at that.
Yeah. So I then attended the Aveda Institute, and my dad was not thrilled about it at all. He was like, why would you do that? There's no money in there. And I know a lot of hairdressers and salon owners get that a ton. Why would you do that? That's what you do when there's like nothing else, last resort. And I was like, I'll show you. And I did.
That's
so
great.
I completed. Yep. And then after that, I worked at a salon in Uptown as an apprentice. That's when I totally butchered that woman's hair. Learned a lot of lessons from there. And then I, shortly after that, became pregnant with my son, who is now 22. And I had to move closer to Prior Lake to be with mom and dad because I wasn't, I young mom, had no idea what was going on. And I worked at a fast service salon in the mall and hated every single minute of it. So I went from like an uptown thriving salon, because in my mind, I was going to go to New York and be like the best hairstylist Soho has ever seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I got a curveball. So I worked in fast service salon. I had to get out of there. I knew that my passion was not growing at all. And thankfully, God gave me the easiest child known to man. So I decided to move back to the cities. And I ended up connecting with a fellow Aveda classmate of mine, and she got me a position at a salon at 50th and France.
Okay.
6 months after working there, I began booth renting. And then I hit a challenging point in my life.
So real quick for the
Yes.
layman out there, so booth renting is kind of a step towards owning your own business. Is that
It kind of is, yes.
Bit?
Yeah. It is where I rent my own chair. So I make my own hours. I set my own prices. But I am 1099, rent my chair from the salon owner. I kind of have, kind of free reign of whatever I use and do and that sort of thing. And I met two wonderful women at that salon who became mentors of mine. At that time, too, I became pregnant with my second, Marley, my daughter. She is now 19. And I had a lot of personal things going on. I was on the very edge of a divorce. My ex-husband had a really hard time with keeping employed. And we just purchased our first home, and I'm going to have a baby and don't know what to do it. And having these two ladies as mentors really gave me a lot of strength. I was kind of a deer in the headlights, and they helped me stay on target. Within that time, too, these two ladies acquired the salon that I was working at from the previous owner. So I was helping them launch their dream, and I was very happy to do it. Very happy to do it. So for me, I got to see something being built from the ground up. It was amazing.
So you're sitting here in this moment and you have two kids on the verge of a divorce, a house, and sitting in a career that is getting to where you want to go, but you are in a space where...
Yeah. I don't want to call them roadblocks, but it's like, this is not what I imagined for myself.
Yeah.
Right?
What did you do?
Well, I do what any farm girl would do, and I would just work more.
Right.
No,
does that
seriously.
sound familiar, ladies, at all? Jessica, Jamie, we just
let's make more money. No, so what I did then was I decided what was my saving grace is I decided to enroll into community college and get a business management and a marketing degree, because I knew come hell or high water, I was going to become a salon owner. And it wasn't going to happen on necessarily my timeline. It was going to happen on the timeline given to me. Right. And so, I worked at a Great Clips on the weekends. I rented a chair Tuesday through Saturday. I was a liquor promo girl on Fridays and Saturdays. I went to school Tuesdays and Thursday nights. I mean, I did it all. I paid for a nanny. I got rid of the dead weight, AKA my ex-husband. And I know. Don't get me wrong. Two beautiful children out of this. Okay. But when I moved out, I left him and I moved out, and I had this tiny apartment. It was me and my two kids, and I barely had a pot to piss in. And I'm going to be real honest with you. I maxed out my student loans because it was what I lived off of. And I remember coming home from work one day and there are two sheriffs at my apartment door ready to evict me. And I have both of my kids behind me. And it was the scariest moment in my entire life because, you know, I can take care of myself, but myself and two kids. And I felt like such a failure. My dad is very tough love. So he was like telling my mom, do not give her any money. She made her bed. She's
I was just going to ask,
it.
where's mom and dad? I was going to ask that.
Yeah, it was tough love. And from Minneapolis to Prior Lake, it's a good 30-minute drive. Okay. So for me, there wasn't an option of moving back home because at that time, my kids were in school in Minneapolis and I couldn't take them out of the school district per our decree. So I was going to make it work. My mom, I felt like Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, where I was like, I'll never let Tara burn again. But I was just like, there is no way I'm ever going to feel this way ever again. And my mom, she was emailing me and she goes, here are some resources that I found. Because I couldn't even afford internet. I would hang out in the Caribou parking lot, like siphoning Wi-Fi.
Same.
Off of okay.
So much.
Yeah.
Jamie's like, that was my spot.
Yeah, totally.
You guys are probably fighting over the same bandwidth.
We probably were.
And just
like,
as a side,
yes.
sidebar, Home Depot has free internet also. You can get it from the parking lot. It's great.
But I kept persevering. And my mom said, I think it's time you should take a break from school. And I thought, absolutely not. Absolutely. I need financial aid to survive. But also, I have a dream, and this is what it's going to take. I don't care if it takes me 5 years or 6 years or 7 years, but I'm going to finish school. And I'm going to give myself one shot at being a salon owner. And my mom, she knew that I was in dire straits. She sent me these links to help with services that the state and the city and the county offered. And so I remember walking into downtown Minneapolis in one of the court centers, and I had to plead my case in front of a judge to get my back rent paid and my utilities paid for me. And it was a one-time offer. So that was an extremely humbling experience. So I did it.
Yeah. Yes. I have a question. When I hear you talking about school, and I'm curious to know, it sounds like you made that connection that you needed to go to school in order to be successful and pursue your dreams. And I find that interesting because, like, for me, that was like the last thing that I thought that I needed. And maybe it's because I had so much success without it, but most people don't think about, well, let me go back to schools because that's going to prepare me for my dream. But it sounds like that's where you were mentally when it came to getting your education. Yes. And not only that, is within our salon industry, and at that time, so we're talking 2004, somewhere around there was no business classes for anybody in the salon industry. We are emotional creatures. We do a lot of things because we feel that it should be done. And knowing what I know, that there is a business to it, and I couldn't find any business in my industry specific. Corporations are ran one way, franchises are ran one way, restaurants are offices, but there's no information out there on how to run a salon, which is by far different. The closest thing that I could probably compare it to is restaurant, honestly. And so I knew that I needed to really know all about the business. And that's why I went back to school for it. Gotcha. Yep. Makes sense. Yep.
So you started your salon.
Yes.
You picked out your location, launched your dream. And I'm guessing it's smooth sailing from here on out, right? It was just rainbows and butterflies from when you started. Obviously that is not the case.
No.
Tell us about some of the challenges that you faced opening up your own business.
I had no idea it would be so hard to get something off the ground. So it was so hard. And my mom, she's retired but she retired as a CFO of a major corporation. She was the only female to hold that position in the 125 years of this company's existence. And so, I mean, if you want to talk
good genes,
about,
girl.
Seriously,
Right.
if you want to talk about lead like a girl, my mom. Yes. She's like mergers and acquisitions, 22 suits in the room and one skirt, you know? And so
I love it.
She was amazing for that. Yeah. She, you know, she was like, you can't fight City Hall. And if it was easy, everyone would do it. Right. And one of the things that I always like to say, and everybody who knows me hates when I say this, but not every hit's a home run, but you still have to swing.
Right.
And so every single time that I'm faced with a roadblock, that's where I go. But it was hard. It was really hard. A lot of bureaucratic things, a lot of meetings. I had some fantastic resources because you just got to get out there and ask questions. I would show up at city council meetings and afterwards hang out and ask questions like, how do I put a business in your city? Ask with local people who have done it, right? If you want to know how to do something, ask the people that have done it. Don't ask the people who haven't done it because they're going to tell you 18 reasons why you can't. Mm-hmm. But that was huge and instrumental. When we did the build out, again, farmer girl work ethic, I was on that floor scrubbing. I was painting, and I mean, we did it all. My forever husband is what I call him. And he was there with me every single step of the way. So I have to give Jason some kudos for that one. But we started out, it was me and one other stylist. And I just threw a bunch of mud at the wall, and what would stick, stuck. And we rode that wave for about almost 2 years. And within that time, I acquired Jessica, who Coralyn and I know. That's how we know each other. So Jessica came in about a year after I opened. And a few other people started trickling in, and I'm like, I really got something here. So I started building more systems within the salon space, and everything was great. And we were riding the high, and everybody in the community knew me, and I loved it. I felt like Belle and Beauty and the Beast walking through the village. And then
cue really romantic music in the background.
I know, right?
Butterflies and birds flying. And then what?
And then the world shut down real fast. And that sucked.
AKA COVID.
I was looking for a commercial space because I rent where I'm at for the salon, and I had a healthy bank account, and I was talking to financial strategists on what do I do with all of this money, and it just all went away. So in Minnesota, we were closed for 3 months, and we couldn't do anything. Okay. If I was caught cutting hair, I would lose my license. In turn, the salon would lose their license. You know, restaurants could do takeout, right? And they could do delivery. And that would hold them off for a little bit, right? Don't get me wrong. I know restaurants really struggled as well. But the only thing that we were allowed to do was sell product.
Wow. And your customers can only buy so much shampoo, right?
They can only buy so much shampoo. You know, at the time, I think our customer base was maybe 2,000 people. It was like 1,800, maybe 2,000. And I didn't know what to do. And I was stressed. My body was stressed. I'm a planner. I'm like, no, this can't happen. I have quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like this, no. And I was freaking out. I developed a whole body rash, not even joking. I had chunks of hair falling out. It was horrible. It was horrible. I've never been depressed before in my entire life, and I went there. So, which in turn, I'm a glass half full type of person. So I'm glad I went there because now I feel a little bit more empathetic for people that do struggle with that. I do. It got really, really dark and deep to the point where my kids are like, Mom, are you okay? Are you moving? And I'm like, for what? You know, it was really, really tough. I leaned on a lot of mentors that I know that are in the restaurant world. And one of them in particular, he's like, Amanda, you just have to pivot. You just have to pivot and do.
We love that
like,
word
dude,
here at Feed Like a Girl.
Oh my God. I just was like, Mike, F you, dude. I can't pivot this stuff. Like, I have to touch people to pivot, and I can't even stand 6 feet close. I'm like, are you losing your mind? What are you talking about? He's like, you just got to figure it out. You have to figure it out. And you're going to have to think about how. Well, I got off the phone, and my husband was working. He's working from home. He's in IT. So he was in the office, and I like stomp in, and I'm like, do you believe this guy? He's telling me to pivot, you know? But afterwards I was like, you know what? That's what I had to hear. I really had to hear it. And so I went into like Amanda mode again. I started researching the crap out of the EIDL loans, the grants, the everything. I got on the horn. I didn't get any unemployment because as an owner, you can't get unemployment. I was getting any sort of representative in my corner. I would get up at 8 a.m. and I would start making phone calls. And I was like, okay, you got to do your phone calls and then you can pour your cocktail at 2 o'clock, you know, like, because we were stuck at home. And so that really helped me focus on a plan of what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. Then we were slated to open on a Monday, and that Friday is the aftermath of George Floyd. And everybody was extremely scared and nervous about rioting, what was going to happen in the neighborhoods. So I was advised to go to my place of business, take all the product off the shelf, and then put tape across my windows in case someone threw a brick through it. So the window wouldn't shatter, and put up curtains so no one can see what was in my business. And I was supposed to open Monday. I'm closed for 3.5 months, and I finally get an opportunity, and the whole entire city is just upside down. It was the craziest thing. My son was there helping me, and I'm ugly crying throughout all of this because my son has to see this. At that time, he just graduated high school. You know, the pandemic hit him really hard as well. And I think he saw mom as an adult, as a business owner, and as a human for the first time that weekend. It was really, really tough. But I got the team going. It was 2 weeks prior, and I said, okay, you guys, everybody is required to spend 4 hours in the salon, mask up, let's get into our new norm. And we pushed through. That whole year, I don't remember anything.
It was like just that too.
Yeah. It's like the 13th floor. It's like, it's not there.
It's just nobody goes there. There's no button.
Nobody goes there. There's no button.
Nobody knows.
But it's there, and we went there. But so crawling out of that, the following year, there's a yoga studio next to us, and unfortunately, they did not survive the pandemic. And I was smart enough when I entered in my lease for the first time to take first right of refusal. So I got dibs on that space, and we knocked down the walls and we expanded the space, and I did a full-on build out and remodel with $40,000.
So when the crap was hitting the fan, weeks. You doubled down on your business.
I doubled down on. I did, and I told myself, I'm like, I know I'm not turning a profit. I'm still running on love, right? But I would rather throw everything at it and fail than to not do anything and live with that regret. Because I knew inside of me, like I had the determination, I had the grit. I was smart. I knew I was going to turn this around. Yeah. So we expanded. The day that we opened up, my mother-in-law was diagnosed with an almost inoperable brain tumor on her brainstem. And so my husband had to go tend to her. So now I was pretty much a single wife for 2 months after that. In the height of COVID and pandemic, and we're all getting back to normal, and things were so chaotic. So I did it, And to be honest with you, it was not fun. It sucked. Everything sucked. I remember about this time last year driving to work crying because I hated it. Because I felt like this new way of doing business, that I'm forced to do business because we're in a new economy. Clients are different. Their expectations are different. I like hiring new talent and training them because I am a technical educator. The talent coming out of beauty schools was horrible because they didn't have contact with people when they were training. They got licensed on a mannequin. And hair is so much more than just cutting hair, right? And I couldn't catch a break. And I was crying and I hated it. I did not want to go into work. And then I just stopped and I just looked in the mirror and I'm like, you are such a dummy, girl. You did this to yourself.
I think that happens a lot to us. I feel like even in my own personal, when, again, not the same situation, but very similar things, when it feels like when stuff is hitting the fan, it just rains and pours. I mean, I just feel like sometimes I just sit back and I'm like, what is happening? Mm-hmm. And I give myself a moment to cry, to be pissed off. And this is something just happened recently where I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, that's it. We've cried enough. We got to put our big girl pants on and just move on. Right?
Yes.
I just think that sometimes is what we have to do. Right. And so now you're 10 years in, you just celebrated in August.
I'm having so much fun. I really am. That's not sarcasm. But from that moment too, it's like, I'm smart. I would try one thing in the business and then it would flop. And then I would try another thing and then it would flop. And then I felt like I was losing the trust of my team. Like at that time I had 8 team members and I was like, I feel like they don't trust me anymore.
Were you trying things that you just brainstormed yourself and thought of, or were you trying things where you looked at like other people who are being successful, or like how did you figure out what to try?
I did it all. So there are things that I tried that I saw other successful businesses doing. And there's a difference of seeing that, going, oh, I can do that. But I never really connected with them and asked them like, oh, how did you do that? Like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do my own research. Because a lot of what I was seeing was, I felt like it was going to turn into MLM. Like, I'll show you how to do it, but first I want you to invest in me and then I'll give you my secrets, that sort of thing. So I felt like because everything changed so fast, like how we do business in our industry, that someone was doing something over here and it looked really shiny and sparkly. And I was like, oh, that looks cool. I'm going to try that. And then it would lie flat. Right. And then someone over here was trying something super fun and sparkly. And then I would try that and it didn't work and that would lie flat. And then I've had some feedback from my team too. And it's like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Like, I know that I'm better than this and I can do this. So what do? I got a hold of a coaching service specifically for my industry. So there were 2 coaching services that I was researching and I came down to one. It's called High Performance Salon Academy, and not to plug them, but they saved my life. I'm not even joking. They completely saved my life and it was fantastic. I've learned how to properly pivot my business, utilize technology. I built a leadership team. I am now turning a crazy profit for the first time since year 2.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that because I'm such a skeptic. I would never in a million years but that's good to hear that there are places that work.
And I researched them and they're like, give me this and I'll send you these videos and watch these videos and it's like, no, I need accountability. I need someone to say, you try this. This is how you're going to measure it. You will not see return on investment in the next 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 3 months, but we're here to support you. So we have daily calls every single day. Each daily call is either like how to lead, how to attract, how to deliver, how to create a mindset. There's personal development meetings. I have clearer goals. I hate that word goal because I think it's like thrown out there way too much, but I have clarity. I learned what a PERT chart is. I don't know if you ladies know what a PERT chart is, but I was where is this?
I'm going to make a note of that so I can Google it tonight.
It is the way that they put a man on the moon. And so this is like the biggest aha that I got out of the whole entire thing is, how do you know we got a man on the moon? And it's not because there's that first step on the moon. We know we put a man on the moon is when we delivered them safely home. So if you begin with the end in mind and really get clear on what that end looks like, then you work the problem backwards.
Right.
Sorry, Jessica's this way to me.
That is my whole life is reverse engineer. That's what I say.
Seriously.
Hashtag reverse
We've been preaching
engineer
that for
everything.
I think too, and what you said, Amanda, what really is kind of resonating with me too is that regardless of all the things that I think that holy Hannah, like high five, like triple high five for not giving up. I think that so many times that you say that you try 7 things and like somebody just gives up and it's just that 8th one, that's the ticket. Mm-hmm. And I think that is extremely commendable. And that's how we just keep learning. As long as we're alive, we can just keep going. Yeah. But I also think too, with that, the self-control and the ability to step back and say, I need help and I can't, I'm not going to figure this out. There is a maturity and a brilliance to that I think is remarkable. And I think that's probably even harder than trying again. I don't know what you guys think about that, but the ability to ask for smart help is just so important.
Yeah. Here's my takeaway, because I know we can stay here all night because I just love hearing stories like this. But my takeaway the whole time you're talking, kudos to mom and dad. Like I want to meet your mom and dad because this is a perfect example of they had the means to bail you out every single time, it sounds like. And sometimes, especially as parents, when we have more than our kids, we want to give them more. And sometimes that's not what they need. We actually enable them and we don't allow them to be and grow into the best version of them because we baby them and we coddle them and all that other stuff. So, I mean, that the whole time you were talking, all I kept thinking is her parents set her up for this day, for that day when you said, this is it. I'm going to do it. I'm tired of crying. This is it. They set you up for that day. And all of it was for that and who you are today. So I just, that was my takeaway is kudos to mom and dad.
Mm.
Absolutely.
I love that. I was just going to say my takeaway really was, you touched on so many topics that we've talked about, us, Coralyn, Jessica, and I. And so what a perfect fit of an interview, really. But I think the impact that personally I felt from your story is the tenacity, the grit, the never giving up, the thinking outside of the box, the not only coming up with your ideas, copying if you see someone who's successful, copy them. It's totally fine. Or getting ideas from other people that are successful. Taking the being humble enough, obviously, to ask for help, but also having the courage to do those things that most people just are too scared to do. The expansion in a time when, maybe that made you uncomfortable. Yeah. So thanks so much. You have an amazing story. This has been
Thank you.
Good.
And now
Amanda, can you, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, wanted to visit your salon, smell all the sweet smells of your place, how can they find you?
Probably the easiest and most direct way would be on social and Instagram, Salon Halo MPLS. My manager and media extraordinaire, she is really, really good at being connected in that arena. Or absolutely just pop in. My website is fabulous, but it is getting an overhaul here very shortly and all part of the growth process. but Salon, Halo, and PLS. And like I said, Abby does a fantastic job doing it. So I think you get a lot more of what we are all about through that social platform.
That's fantastic. Well, we are out of time here, but this was a fantastic story. Amanda, thank you so much for taking time and sharing all of your, so many nuggets, so many. I have a page
I don't even
full of
care about
notes
those
here.
pork chops anymore. Seriously.
I know, right?
I'll have my family send you some, right?
Right? Oh my goodness.
What a good, oh man. That's great.
Yeah, right. We might know a place to get some good pork.
Right. Yes.
All right. So I just want to remind
you.
our listeners, we are leadlikeagirllab.com. You can visit us. You can see or listen to our back episodes. You can listen or you can buy some merchandise. We've got some great Lead Like a Girl swag. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the major social channels. If you want to see what our lovely faces look like or not, that's up to you. But thank you again, Amanda. This has been a fantastic storytelling session. And until next week, keep leading like a girl.
Thank you.